So shall we start for the day? Good evening all. So I will continue with my money markets, which we had left in the last class. So the treasury bills market. Saw call money market, we saw treasury bills market, and now we will be talking about commercial bills market, which is a tripartite agreement, wherein we had the drawer price and the bill. It is technically called as the bill of exchange and is a trade bill, which is used for transacting. It is a near money instrument used for transacting trade. I think we stopped here. And then this shows the liquidity to make payment on a fixed date. Like you say a 3-month bill, 50 days bill, etc. On that day when it matures, you can take it to the bank and cash it, or you can even discount it. And accordingly, I mean, we won't go into the definitions as of now. There are different kinds of commercial bills. Is my voice breaking? My audible to you all, is my voice breaking?
Ma'am, breaking voice little. Voice is breaking little.
Am I audible now? There are inland bills and foreign bills. So this is drawn in India, payable in India, and usually used for domestic trade transaction. And it is going to be drawn on a person who is resident Indian. And when I talk about foreign bills, these are used majorly for foreign trades. These are drawn outside India. They may be payable or as the party on whom it is drawn, or the drawer could also be outside India, right? Drawer could be outside India, or payee could be outside India, a drawee could be outside India. Usually in foreign transactions, you draw this bill of exchange. And this bill can be drawn in India and it can be made payable outside. So this is used for export-import transactions, as I told you, foreign trade. And the purpose of bill of exchange is for payment of export, pre-export credit, and also within the country. Basically for trade financing, this bill is used. And again, in India, bill of exchange is for financing agricultural operations also. Cottage industries, small small scale industries, where you can pay your suppliers, warehousing people, etc. It is a near money transaction. Then we have the accommodation bills and the supply bills. These are the types of bills of exchange. One was inland bill and foreign bill. Inland bill was used for domestic trade transaction, drawn in India, payable India, drawer, drawee, payee, all three are resident Indians. But whereas when you talk about foreign bills, they are used for international trade transactions. And then drawer could be in India, payee could be in India, and the others can be in foreign. Could be drawn in India but payable in foreign countries. It could be drawn on a person who is outside India, etc. Or a person who is outside India can draw it on a person residing in India. Now when we talk about accommodation bill and supply bills are genuine bill of exchange, wherein against the supplier, you are going to, instead of making payment, you're going to draw bill of exchange, which you can encash on a later date. Whereas accommodation bill on a person or a party whose name you put on the bill and he accepts it, right? Without receiving any consideration. This is actually called as bill. What is a wind bill? See, a person uh, wherein he puts the bill in his name and accepts the bill of exchange, right? So that he can accommodate to another person without receiving an in consideration. Instead of money, it's a near money instrument. I'll explain it to you in detail of exchanges. Now, bankers acceptance. This is another very important short-term instrument wherein actually an investment plan by a company or a firm with a guarantee from the bank. It is a guarantee from the bank that the buyer will make the payment to the seller on a future date. A good credit rating is required by the company of the firm. Like, see, I will draw a bill of exchange or I will draw a banker's acceptance, and the banker gives his acceptance on behalf of the buyer, right, to the seller. So this is useful when creditworthiness of a foreign trade partner is unknown, right? Because banker has taken up the liability. Therefore, it is called as banker's acceptance. Now this could be a 90-day, 30-day, or even 180-day, depending on the company's use the acceptance as a draft for financing import-export. In India, there are neither specialized acceptance agencies providing this service on a commission basis, right, to any significant extent by commercial banks. Now, what is a discount market? Now, central banks are also playing a major part in the money market. They are going to be discounting and refinancing commercial banks when they are going to issue bill of exchange. If you have heard, bills of exchange can be discounted. What is actually discounting? Before the maturity date, if the bill of exchange is taken to the bank and discounted, or if the bill of exchange is worth ₹100 on the maturity date, the banker, before maturity date, if you approach for payment, the banker will buy the bill from you and they will pay you, say, 90 rupees, keeping 10 rupees as discount charges, right? And this, on the maturity date, the bank will get 100 rupees. But if it also goes to the central bank, Central Banking Authority or RBI, and goes for discounting this bill, it may get 95 rupees as against 100 rupees on the maturity date. Before the maturity, it gets 95 rupees. On the maturity, it gets 100 rupees. And banks using bill of exchanges are going to borrow funds temporarily at the discount window of the central bank. They are permitted to borrow or given the privilege of doing so from central bank. Again, certain papers, eligible papers, these are short-term securities like commercial bills, treasury bills, etc. Any doubts so far? Yeah. It is the sole depository in the sense an institution which is going to deal with surplus liquid funds of the banking system and non-banking companies. This was set up in the earlier 1970s. What is its function? Right? If there are institutions who need money, like for banks need for their SLR requirements. I spoke to you about SLR in the last class. If banks need money for their SLR requirements, they can approach the Discount and Finance House of India, and it is going to say, I can find out who has it and then get the funds for you, right? Which should use surplus funds to even out imbalance in the banking system. As I told you, if there is shortage somewhere and if there is surplus somewhere, it has to bridge the gap here, right? That's what we say, even out the imbalance. It should create a ready market for commercial bills. Whenever companies float commercial bills, especially bills we have seen and commercial bills, right? Then government guaranteed securities. It should find a purchaser or a subscriber for them and should help the bank sell such securities. Are you following? It should help, it is actually a mediator. It is trying to see who has surplus funds and who needs funds, and it is going to bridge this gap. So just to have a recap, Discount and Finance House of set up in the Finance House of India was set up in the 1970s. It is going to be an intermediary to have the surplus and the shortage of funds bridged, and it creates a market for commercial bills, treasury bills, and government securities that are being purchased and sold by and to the banking system. It helps all banks to abide by the reserve requirements, reserve regulations of the banks, of the RBI. Now, commercial papers are unsecured instrument. It is one more short-term instrument. It is an unsecured money market instrument. This is issued in the form of promissory note. What actually is it? It is called as unsecured, but then it is issued by high-rated corporates, and the corpus involved is also very high, in the sense the amount of investment you need to invest in money market instruments, except commercial bills, is very high. Therefore, retailers do not participate much here. Retail investors like you and me cannot participate much here in the money market as we participate in the capital market by investing in mutual funds and equity shares, etc. We generally don't participate in money market. It is only the high-rated corporates, big companies, banks, they participate in the money market. They are the ones who buy, sell, with RBI as the regulator. This is a promissory note. Like some company wants to borrow money, they will issue this instrument, and then they will find out a subscriber so that they get money to meet their working capital needs. And therefore, the issuing company has to be highly rated, and they will definitely, though it is unsecured, they will not default, because company's reputation will be under stake in case they default. This was introduced in 1990 to enable highly rated corporate borrowers to diversify their sources of short-term borrowing. Instead of just going to bank for borrowing short-term money, they have another source by floating commercial papers. And subscribers are also high-rated corporates. Only companies, as I told you, since it is highly secured and unsecured, but then you have security because credit rated companies only trade, and if they default, the reputation will be at stake. I hope you're following this. And also, primary dealers, satellite dealers are also permitted to issue commercial papers and enable them to meet short-term. Any working capital requirement can be met by issuing commercial papers. And again, if you talk about, it is a safe investment because companies' reputation will be spoiled in case they default. And it is a short-term instrument. As I said, minimum 15 days, because it's not a call money market instrument, minimum 15 days and up to a year from the date of issue. And issuer shall be within the limit as approved by the board of directors. They cannot keep borrowing. Usually, credit rating agencies rate these companies. And as regards foreign investors, they can also issue commercial paper within an overall umbrella limit fixed by the RBI. RBI fixes you can borrow using commercial papers, but only so much money can be borrowed and for only this set period. Right? That is what it says. Are you following? Are you following? This is the limit that they have fixed, and now scheduled bank can issue, act as an, before we proceed, as I said, 5 lakh cannot be less than 5 lakhs. In the limit, this amount was also raised. Any investors investing, it was up to 25-50 lakhs also face value. These investments are traded at discount and redeemed at par. And however, investments by FIS, foreign institutional investors, means should be limits set for them. They can invest only so much. They can withdraw this. They can raise CPs by issuing for so much money. That limit was given earlier. We don't need that actually. And again, individuals, banking companies, and other corporate bodies registered or incorporated in India and unincorporated bodies, non-resident Indians, foreign institutional, all can participate in this. You all can participate, even you can participate, but you cannot participate because the corpus is very high. Banking companies generally participate, issuing and lending. You cannot issue CP because you need to be a high-rated corporate. Banking companies participate in issuing CP, investing in CP. Other big corporates like your non-banking financial companies or any other corporates which are either foreign bodies or domestic bodies. You also have NRIs investing in CPs, and we also have foreign institutional investors institutional investors means corporates, foreign corporates investing in CPs. As I said, it is issued at a discount and redeemed at a par value. Investor in a commercial paper is again required to pay. Only supposing it is 5 lakh, I can pay 4,75,000. It is issued at 4,75,000. It is for 15 days. It will be redeemed for after 15 days. It will be redeemed at 5 lakhs. CPs, they are called as commercial papers, are unsecured money market instruments. Their validity or their tenure 15 less of years, right? Issued by rated corporates. Subscribed or invested by. Subscribed by individuals, NRIs, FIIs, and then corporates, banks, right? And then I also have they are issued at a discount and at our value. So this much you need to know ideally. This is what I said, though it had many points and are you following? This is what you actually need to know. And I asked you the features of commercial papers. Any doubts so far? Are you following now? Shubham? and the others. Ideally, you need to know only so much about CBs. They are unsecured money market instruments and their validity period is a minimum of 15 days and a maximum of less than a year. It can be even 364 days, right? They are issued by high-rated corporates, subscribed by individuals and NRIs, FIIs, corporate banks, etc. They are issued at a discount and redeemed at par value. Can I add just one more point to this? If they default, if there is a default, it will affect the company's reputation. In case of a default, affects the issuer's reputation. Okay. So, can I proceed now? You can copy this annotation down if you want. So I proceed with my certificate of deposit. Are you following? Should I end the meeting and restart? Because time's up actually for this meeting. I'll end the meeting, restart the meeting.